call the meeting to order. I want to welcome everybody here tonight. And once again, I apologize. We're a little bit behind. I'm going to call the meeting to order. And could I get a report from you, Rob, on the closed meeting report? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just wish to report that council met in closed session just prior to the start of this meeting, and they met in closed session as they're permitted to do so under Section 239 2C and 2E. At this meeting, council received an update and gave direction concerning a proposed land transaction, and council also received an update and provided direction concerning a potential litigation matter affecting the town. And that's the extent of my report this evening, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Rob. Is there any conflict of interest amongst council members here tonight? Seeing none, we'll move right into the adoption of the published agenda for a regular meeting. Could I have a mover, please? Councillor Vanendel and Councillor Bowman, all in favor? Oh, sorry. There's two additions.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor. Just from the administration, just two amendments to the agenda. The first matter is the addition of bylaw 1827 to item 17.2 on the agenda, and that's a bylaw to appoint a property standards and bylaw enforcement officer. The bylaw was circulated to council earlier today. So we're asking council to amend to allow for that. And then the second amendment is item 8.3, Planning Report 2019-31. That report has bylaw 1825, which contains a development agreement. And in that development agreement, there's one requested change to section 17A. The request is to delete that section as it currently reads and to replace it with the following wording. The owner shall file with the MOE and be issued a record of site condition, RSC in brackets, prior to any new construction permits being issued. And we have the updated agreement here this evening for the public agenda.
Thank you, Rob. I had a mover already. Was it Councillor Vanendel and Councillor Bowman with the changes? Deputy Mayor Malash.
Mr. Mayor, I'm just asking the clerk. I have a notice of motion that I'd like to put forward, but can I do it at the time when we get to that spot?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. All in favor? Okay, it's carried, and we'll move into the adoption of the regular council meeting. I need a mover. Councillor Verbeek and Councillor Guerin, all in favor? It's carried. And we need a mover for the special council meeting minutes for April 1st. Have a mover, please. Councillor Bowman and Deputy Mayor Malash, all in favor? It's carried. And we'll move right into public presentations, and the first one is Tourism Windsor, Essex, Peely Island. Gord, if you want to come forward. Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. It's indeed a pleasure to be here this evening, and members of Essex Town Council. My name is Gordon Orr. I'm the CEO of Tourism Windsor, Essex, Peely Island, and I'm joined tonight by Chris Racine, our Director of Marketing. Lynette Bain, our Vice President of Tourism Programs and Development, sends her regrets, but she was off sick today. But we're here tonight as part of a commitment that was made 7 years ago when we assumed the leadership roles at Tourism Windsor, Essex, Peely Island. We promised that we would attend council meetings on a regular basis, not only at the city and the county council level, but at each town council meeting. This is the 8th of 9 visits we're doing. We conclude with LaSalle Town Council next Tuesday, June 11th. And we do this for a couple of reasons. First, we want to make sure that our elected officials are better informed about the importance of tourism as an industry and our activities designed to derive our fair share of the market. And secondly, we want to provide you in this opportunity, in this forum that we have this evening, to ask any questions that you may have of us. Tonight we're here with the latest edition of our 2019-2020 Visitor Guide, just released, and it's in front of you. We have a brief PowerPoint presentation and video presentation highlighting our 2018 year in review. our areas of focus for 2019, and some year-over-year key performance indicators. And before we start the PowerPoint, I would like to remind Council that tourism is a significant economic generator for this region. It's an economic generator and job creator. We receive close to 5 million visitors a year who leave close to $500 million in economic activity and help support some 16,000 jobs. So we'll begin with our PowerPoint. Our vision, a top-of-mind destination offering authentic and diverse visitor experiences. Our mission, to be a tourism industry collaborative committed to enhancing the region's economy and quality of life. Our mandate centers around 4 key functions: marketing communications, visitor services, event attraction, and product and program development. There you can see our organizational chart for our staff. We're a team of 9, including Chris and I, with 4 part-time staff that help us execute our plans. Our board of directors, there you can see our governance. We are an 11-member board, a mix of politicians and stakeholders. You can see on our executive that Mayor Santos from Kingsville is our chair, and County Council is also represented by directors Deputy Mayor Krista Malash and Warden McNamara. For our year in review, when we look back at what we accomplished together within the United Visitor industry, we put together a comprehensive document that was mailed to all council members in late February. We want to highlight just a few of some of the more noteworthy accomplishments, and we did so in a 2-minute video, which we'll play now.
So what happened? So what happened in 2018? A year of new developments, launches, wins, and recognition. This past year, we were pretty busy. New logo, new brand campaign, and a new look for our website. All focused on our campaign, Where Can We Take You? So where did we take you? 3 major conferences hosted in town with a combined number of 1,000 delegates. With large-scale events like this, the hotel economy continues to strengthen and improve. The Best of Windsor Essex Award celebrated its 3rd year, asking the question, what's your favorite spot? The launch of the We Made It, a program designed to spotlight the makers and artisans of Windsor Essex. We joined forces with Ontario Southwest and introduced the Ontario Tourism Innovation Lab, a program to develop new tourism experiences, products, and partnerships, the first of its kind in Ontario. In partnership with Destination Ontario and local stakeholders, we launched Discover Canada's Southwest, a campaign that explores 3 of Canada's most southern waterfront communities, Kingsville, Leamington, and Pelee Island. Our social media channels saw a 22% increase in social impressions and a 4% increase in social engagement. Throughout the year, we participated in 16 industry and consumer shows in 8 major markets to attract people to the region. Oh, and did we mention? We walked away with a few awards, including the Culinary Leadership Award, awarded by the Culinary Tourism Alliance, the Tourism Marketing Partnership Award for our Barrels, Bottles, and Brews Trail as part of the Brewery Discovery Routes marketing program. And our agency of record, Tango Creative Group, won 3 marketing awards for our 2018 campaign, Where Can We Take You? What a year. Let's see where we can take you in 2019.
Sorry. As the video highlighted, our new marketing campaign, Where Can We Take You? You can see on the screen some creative concepts we used this year and last year. Our website incorporates the Where Can We Take You theme and content provided and helps answer that question for the user. whether that is assisting the user with where to dine, things to do or see, and ways to get active, complete, and an events calendar and events listing. A major focus of our website is suggested itineraries to help guide the user based upon key trip motivators, as well as blog content with high-impact imagery. Our website is mobile-friendly, as 70% of our audience is using their phone tablet to find out about us. Best of Windsor Essex Awards. In March, we hosted our 4th annual awards celebrations, giving out 46 awards. We know that where the locals like to patronize, so will visitors. And the social media campaign saw a 42% increase in votes, helping us discover some of the best in Windsor Essex.
Our product and program development team has been busy creating and reinventing compelling products for our visitors to experience while in Windsor Essex. Our latest such initiative is the We Made It program, which is designed to highlight local artisans, craftsmen, and makers of locally made goods. There you can see our key performance indicators for 2019 versus 2017. Our hotel figures remain strong by about 3%, and our digital marketing efforts has witnessed an increase in engagements of over 9%. And open engagements in our digital databases, stakeholder marketing, is up almost 27% year over year, 2018 versus 2017. Our regional approach to tourism is really working and helping us capture our fair share of the all-important tourism market. When we look at the provincial numbers, by the numbers, it's a $34.1 billion industry, representing 4.3% of the GDP. And for every $1 million spent, it generates 13 new jobs, and those 13 jobs generate over $600,000 in wages and salaries. Tourism here locally does matter. It's a job creator and economic generator.
So what's new for 2019? In reference to our marketing and destination development strategies, our areas of focus for 2019 are arts and culture, outdoor adventure, food and drink, entertainment, our cycling tourism map highlighting cycle-friendly businesses along various cycling trails and routes within our region. Our Windsor Essex Fishing Guide calls out our region species, hotspots, marinas, and events. You'll see in front of you our 2019-2020 Official Visitors Guide. 88 pages this year based on demand. We print 85,000 copies and distribute them throughout Ontario, Michigan, and Ohio.
There's our annual general meeting. We ask that you save the date. It's coming up in about a week, actually, Thursday, June 13th, at the Canadian Historical Aircraft Association in their hangar. Our theme is Explore and Pour from our Barrel Trail. We expect 120 tourism partners and stakeholders in attendance. June is Tourism Month, and that's one of the reasons why we're visiting all of our council meetings. But we have a number of great things planned to celebrate our industry throughout the month. And a few of them are, we did pop-up programs. We did Peely Island in the city in Fort City. We're doing We Heart Local at LaSalle Strawberry Festival. We've got Ontario Craft Beer Week we're going to promote, Ontario Wine Week as well, and media events. We're launching our cycle tourism map, our flight log and video launch, our We Heart Local map, and our wine route map launch as well. And on June 12th, the Chamber of Commerce will be sponsoring the Chamber After Business at Cooper's Hawk Vineyards. There you can see the team that I have the privilege of working with, tourism professionals all, and I'm very lucky to be working with them. And now an important part of that team is our Regional Tourism Advisory Committee. Members, and you are ably represented on that committee by Nelson Silvera, your Economic Development Officer. And we know that Nelson couldn't attend this evening, but we've been in touch with your Communications Manager, Alex de Nonville, who's here, and both Alex and Nonville have been great collaborative partners with us at Tourism Windsor Essex Peel Island. And I'd be remiss if I didn't also recognize your Director of Community Services, Doug Sweet, certainly on the sport tourism side as well. But we do want to highlight a few of the collaborations that we've worked with, particularly with the town of Essex, and we're going to do that now. One is participation in consumer shows. You can see here through our partnership, we participated in consumer shows which focus on our intended market segments. This included the London Boat and Fishing Outdoor Show, where our new fishing guide made its debut that highlights the species, events, and fishing opportunities in the area, including Lake Erie North Shore and notes Colchester Harbor's blue flag status. Another key event was the annual Staycation Expo that we hosted at Devonshire Mall, educating locals on what they can do and see in their own backyard, and in particular the town of Essex. Under Events Support and Promotion and Visitor Services, Tourism Windsor Essex Peel Island is working with the town of Essex to provide event support, including promotion and visitor services for Explore the Shore, celebrating the unique local businesses that line, of course, historic County Road 50, Canada's southernmost drive. TRUPI will be on site to stamp passports when attendees are visiting Explore the Shore businesses to share tourism information. Under travel writers and social influencers, TRUPI has been bringing in travel writers, bloggers, and social influencers over the past year who have called out Essex. Last year we had 6 travel writers. This year, confirmed through June, we have 3 scheduled. Under content development, TRUPI has worked with Essex in developing content for their digital platforms and marketing and promotional purposes, such as for their consumer and corporate sites. This also includes being highlighted in the regional tourism organizations Ontario Southwest and their Next Stop Tastes video series, alongside obtaining images from TRUPI during their fall photo shoots of the area, including epic wineries, and via Ontario Southwest Barberstock Photoshop Library. And the Ontario by Bikes workshop. In collaboration with TRUPI and Essex, will be hosting a workshop ensuring businesses here are certified and become bike-friendly. It will be presented by Ontario by Bike, an organization dedicated to marketing cycle-friendly businesses within the province. And once these businesses are certified, further promotion will be provided via our website and featured on our online edition of our cycling tourism map, and of course, Ontario by Bike's website as well. So those are just 5 collaborations that we wanted to highlight that we're working diligently with the town of Essex. But most of all, we want to thank all of you. Thank you very much for continuing to recognize the importance of tourism and investing in tourism, and your support of Tourism Windsor Essex Peel Island. Your Worship, at the appropriate time, we'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much for the presentation. Good presentation, by the way. Any questions from members of council? Councillor Verbeek?
Through you, Your Worship, no questions. I just want to say bravo and thank you to you and your team. This year, you guys are really upping your game, and it's wonderful. And thank you for all that you and your great team do.
Councillor Bondi?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to comment on your SWOT analysis there. I think your weakness is something that we share in the town of Essex, too, with the no established and consistent wayfinding program throughout the region. I hear that a lot, and I'm hoping that this term of council can kind of work with you and work with our staff to fix that, right? It's a big issue. Thank you again for coming, and lots of good information. It makes me want to book a vacation locally. So I get all excited. If we could just only have nice weather, right? You know, that has to definitely affect tourism dollars locally spent by us. So thank you. Now we can all just pray to the sun gods.
Thank you, Councillor.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other questions? So I need a motion for the presentation. Could I have a motion, Councillor Bowman, and a seconder, Councillor Bjorkman, all in favor? Thank you. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you very much, Your
Thank
Worship.
you.
Thank you, Councillors.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Item 6.2, our next presentation this evening, is Mr. Leo Silvestri. He's here on behalf of the monarch butterfly enthusiasts of Windsor and Essex County, and he's here this evening to bring forward to council their concerns with the declining numbers of the monarch butterfly, and asking council to consider creating butterfly pollinator gardens in our parks.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you for coming out, and whenever you're ready, go ahead.
Test. Your Worship and the members of Town of Essex Council, I want to thank you for the opportunity. I did send a couple I did send a couple PDF that everybody read it, so I can make this very, very short. One of them basically came from the monarchwatch.org that has all the information regarding the numbers of declining of the monarchs in the recent 20 years. But before I get into the technicality of this, I just want to tell you a little bit about myself. I'm Leo Silvestri, house painter, been in Windsor since 1970, and this is my wife, Teresa. She's involved in other activities and charitable organization, but nevertheless, I met my partner in this new venture. It was only 3 years ago that I was searching something on the internet, and I came across this word monarch butterfly. Sometimes I might get a little emotional, but anyways, I'm Italian. I'm allowed to be a little emotional. And by keep reading and see what the other hundreds of thousands of people were doing across North America, I decided to be part of it, and I started joining a bunch of Facebook groups where you can learn all about the milkweed, how to plant it, how to raise monarch butterflies for people that choose to do so. But mainly I was attracted by this milkweed thing, and the more I read about it, and the more I thought about myself and asking people around, why isn't this around anymore like it used to be? And so then you learn about all the different farming methods and pesticides and everything else. And due to the fact that basically it was disappearing at astronomical rates, I came to a conclusion by myself to say, hey, why start pointing fingers why this happened 20 years ago? Why don't we start thinking about what can we do now to save this monarch butterflies since it is in so much trouble? And so by reading some of the biologist reports and more experts in the area, I basically became what is known now as a milkweed man. You're not going to believe this, I know you're going to laugh, but I'm probably one of the few people of Essex County that knows what the milkweed is, how to harvest the seed pods, how to dry it, how to make them germinate, and how to give it for free to people so that they can plant a milkweed in their own properties. This is all about helping the monarch butterflies and pollinators. So after doing this for a couple of months, I got a call from a friend of mine in Texas that I met through Facebook, and he says, well, Leo, why are you doing this all by yourself? Where do you live? So he looked at the map and he says, well, I think you should be able to find a few more people around that want to plant some of these butterfly gardens. So I formed the Facebook group called the Monarch Enthusiast of Windsor and Essex County without even think about it twice. And I was shocked to find that over 400 people that I have now in the group that are all about buying milkweed, planting milkweed, planting pollinator gardens around their backyards. And so after I've done that, or as I was doing that, I also approached the Windsor Parks and Recs, and they've also agreed to create the one pollinator garden per ward on all their wards. Starting with that, I approached also the Mayor of LaSalle. He's also promised that he will do something about it. Nelson, of course, from Kingsville and El DiCarlo, they're already part of the group, and I know they are doing some good things around their municipality. So then it was one thing missing. Well, Tecumseh McNamara, he was already ahead of myself because he says, Leo, we got more milkweed in our parks and in our garden that you probably have in your backyard. But nevertheless, he says, we'll try to increase it. And then I look around and says, well, I can't be bothered with Leamington because Leamington, as you know, they've been in the news everywhere and they got miles of milkweed and flowers for the monarch. So then I thought about Essex. And I sent them the request, and here I am. So basically, it's all what in the information says. It doesn't have to be fancy garden. You don't have to excavate miles of greenery to create just a simple 10 by 10 or 10 by 20, whatever space you think is workable in some of your parks. And the main reason for this, ladies and gentlemen, in case you're not aware of, even though the monarchs are into the billions at this point, there's always a chance that we might lose them just with a bad weather in a year, or bad winter in Mexico, or lack of milkweed across North America. And the reason why we want to do it in a safe environment, planning in a safe environment, is due to the fact that in the wild, even though there is a lot of milkweed, only 1 to 3% of all eggs, 1 to 3% of all eggs of the monarch will eventually make it to adulthood butterfly. The rest, they will just disappear due to the predators and whatever else is out there. So, as a person, I'm not saying I beg you, I hope you will consider to have some of your greenery, perhaps covered with some of the milkweed and flowers that are needed for our butterfly and pollinators. And as a butterfly enthusiast, because they can't be here to speak to you, please plant milkweed. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the presentation. I think, Jeff, you had a question or comment on this?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make some comments. Monarch butterflies are actually considered what's called a flagship species. It's the romance of the butterfly, like people like lions and tigers and bears and things like that. But, they're only one of many pollinators that range from birds to beetles to insects of all kinds. And all of them are in jeopardy. Basically, there's been a noticeable decline in all pollinator species, and there's no sign of them coming back. And I think one of the things, the monarch butterfly is a reflection of that, but there are many other insects that are also being affected. And I would like to go a little bit further. I think we should strive to be what's called a bee city. We can be one of the 24 municipalities in Canada that basically have established pollinator gardens and a whole pollinator project in which to enhance the ability of pollinators to thrive, and to basically get whole neighborhoods to get into this in schools and that sort of thing. And there's an actual bee city organization which basically helps to set this sort of thing up and gives people advice. And the City of London is working with area residents about establishing basically pollinator colonies, where basically, as he says, 10-foot square plots are created, and throughout whole neighborhoods. So basically, there's a linkage throughout the entire city. And it's the kind of thing we could do as well. I mean, we're in an agricultural area where we depend on pollinators. A third of the food that we consume is basically created from pollination. And it would be worthwhile, I think, to explore that larger project.
Thank you, Jeff. Before I open it up to council, if I can just ask maybe Chris from administration on milkweed planting. We do have areas like, for example, the lagoons area that we could put this type of plan in there. I mean, I agree with the people presenting here tonight. It's very, very important that we do save the monarch. I know they are declining in huge numbers, but there's got to be something the town can do. We have the areas, the lagoon system, we have a lot of area there where we can plant milkweed in that area. So if you can comment on that.
Through your worship, you're correct. We've got 3 lagoon sites within the town of Essex that typically have quite a bit of land around them. We have used that for planting of trees and whatnot, but it's something I can circle back with Doug and his department. He's got the horticulturist, and maybe come back to council then with some locations and some ideas where we can move something like this forward.
Thank you. I think that would be great. So I'm going to open it up to council. Any questions? Councillor Verbeek.
Yes, through you, Your Worship. I came prepared tonight to try to make a motion. I spoke to our clerk about, I wanted to make a motion to, support monarch way station habitats and ask admin to look into the pricing and make sure with our Nathan Hamilton that it was, doable or advisable. And then I hear Mr. Watson about these bee cities, and I'm really glad, and I hear you suggesting our using some of our lagoons and things, and I'm just really grateful that we're having this conversation, and I want to thank you for coming tonight because, you opened this conversation to this group, and I'm really glad we're going to move forward and look at possibly a bee city or monarch way stations, I hope. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Deputy Mayor Malash.
Thank you, through your worship, to Mr. Sweet. I know at one point in time, the Pollard Park woodlot had a little meadow within the park, within the woodlot, and we did have a monarch butterfly area where we had milkweeds and that. And I'm just wondering if that's still there.
Through your worship, Deputy Mayor is correct. Back in Partissa Park, we worked with IRCA. We called it a butterfly garden at that time. I did talk with our landscape technician in terms of certain areas, and he's kind of looking at our PASA parks. To reestablish that one in Harrow would be a good location. He mentioned Sadler's. And just to add for council, we do currently have an area right across from the old schoolhouse in Colchester, where they do have the milkweed and butterflies there. And a couple of years ago, through Communities in Bloom, we won a Bees Award for the pollinators in our school. So this isn't new. We're one of the leaders in the community, so it's just something we can continue to enhance.
Thank you, Doug. Deputy Mayor Malash.
Just one other thing to Mr. Sweet, and I was just going to suggest that maybe this is something that we can follow up on through our Communities in Bloom. It sounds like a project that, knowing those individuals that were on it at one point in time, those are the kind of goals that they set for themselves as well. But they may be a useful tool for getting it, for initiating move into our residents. Like they may have some ideas on and contacts within the community that our residents would pick up on to try and move the cause even further. Thanks.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Councillor Bondi.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Leo and Teresa, for coming. And I hope a whole lot of people here join that Facebook group, and we can really keep this conversation going. When I was little, I lived in Colchester, and I used to go down to the ravine. I remember it, and I would look up, and I would see all the monarch butterflies, right? So I want to be part of bringing that back. I hope you brought some seeds tonight, did you? Okay, good. Maybe just leave them down there, and we can get them. Did you say, through you, Mr. Chair, did you say they're free? Or do you take donations for them, or are they...
These are the ones that I had to buy from the stores,
Okay.
Just like a seed stand that you find anywhere in town. The common milkweed that I harvested last year, I'm proud to say that I'm out of it. But that was over 5 pounds of milkweed seeds. So that was a lot of seeds. Nevertheless, we're going after the bigger numbers in Windsor and Essex County. So next fall, I'm going to harvest 3 times more.
Okay, that's great. That's amazing. So I still need, what I need from you is to still hold our feet accountable, right? Like I pulled out my budget because I like having it with me, and we still have money in our budget. So I would hope that council would have administration go to the drawing board and come back and say, this is what we need to do. Maybe it's $1,000, maybe it's $2,000. We're in June now. That's halfway through the year, and I believe, unless we've spent it and I didn't know about it, that we still have some money in our council contingency fund. So we still can make this happen this year. Maybe we won't get them all planted, but I would love to do that challenge just like Windsor did, one in every ward. I'm not sure what the rest of council would like to see, but I really support this, and we have a little bit of money that I'm hoping council sees this as a worthy initiative.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Van den Dolen, and then Councillor Bjorkman.
Through you, Mr. Chair, as much as I agree with Councillor Bondi that this is a worthwhile idea, I think this falls into the hobby category. I'm not sure I want to contribute money to it. I completely agree with what you're doing, Mr. Sylvester. My wife and I have been planting milkweeds and other butterfly attractors for more than 20 years. It's a great thing to do. It's the best kind of environmentalism, hands-on, do-it-yourself, not asking taxpayers to fund some program. And I think it's a great idea that we can find municipal property that we can set aside for this. Even more than just milkweed, just if we can actually do wildflower plantations, that would be a great thing. But if we could do this without funding, I think that would be a better idea.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Bjorkman.
Thank you, through the Mayor. Thank you very much for coming and doing your presentation. We just had Tweppy in here talking about tourism. Monarch migration is an incredible thing to see. And we are at a location where the jump off is Point Pelee. And when there's an onshore wind, as the migration is happening, they stay onshore and they move down the shoreline. And that's when we would see them down in Colchester and be in that ravine. And as the evening came, they came and landed in the tree, and the tree would just look brown. And then a breeze would go by, and the entire tree turns orange, with the color of the monarchs opening their leaves to dry. It's an incredible sight. So I think it's well worth us making sure that we are part of that migration, that we have those feed stations for them, because that's what they're waiting for. They're waiting for that wind to change, and then off they go across the lake and head south. So it certainly fits into what we're doing here, fits into our tourism plans, and it's a benefit to the planet. So thank you very much for sharing that.
Thank you, Councillor. Anybody else? If I can just say one final thing, I think this is something that Council should consider throwing a little bit of money at. I think it's well worth it. I don't think we're looking at a big cost here. It's our future, really. You look at it. And Jeff was right when he said the decline on bees. That's a big issue too. We all know that. And this is something that we have to address going forward. So I support your program 100%. Thank you.
Good evening. I just want to say one thing. My husband is very, very passionate about this, and it's not an expensive endeavor. So to encourage residents to do it in their backyards is amazing, and we have a lot of them doing that. And if you bring back the monarchs, you bring back all pollinators. So, and if we are fortunate enough to see that, we are fortunate to help our future generations to appreciate all these beautiful things that we have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. One last thing, if you'd like to, I have 5 acres, so I'd be glad to donate part of that towards this project. I think, Councillor Verbeek, you would like to make a motion?
Sure. No, first I wanted to just state that I don't want to overlook the opportunity to also embrace the education opportunity that's here with this. Even, as we choose to move forward, however we choose to move forward with this, just to educate, even like in the future, the nice plaques or something like that, as to, when we move forward with this. I'm a little uncertain about the motion, how it should look. Is it just to ask administration to investigate ways for us to become more, to build pollinator gardens and look into these, starting with a few of these way stations?
If I may, Councillor, you could make a motion directed towards administration through Doug to look at areas where we could promote this type of growth. So if you'd like to do that, that would be great. Councillor Bondi seconds it. All in favor? It's carried. Thank you.
you, Mr. Mayor. Our next presentation, listed as item 6.3 on the agenda, is Mr. Jerome Parent. Mr. Parent is here pursuant to a request for a sign permit at 103 King Street West in Harrow Center. This is also in conjunction with Planning Report 2019-30, sign bylaw revision at 103 King Street. Jeff Watson, our policy planner, will present that report either before or after the presentation by Mr. Parent.
Thank you. Mr. Parent, when you're all set, you're ready to go. Please turn your mic on.
Oh, I turned it off there, sorry. What I'm proposing is an 8-panel sign for the building located at 103 King West. It's something a little bit out of the box as far as signs go, but it's designed to promote tourism, pushing a lot of the businesses out County Road 50 way. And Harrow, possibly Essex, it could go into Amherstburg. It's going to be geared towards entertainment, bed and breakfast. I'd like to get the harbor in there, that kind of thing. Harrow's, I've noticed, I've lived here back in the 80s for about 5 years and then moved out, moved back in, cottage country kind of thing. And I've noticed Harrow has kind of always been at the same place commercially. The downtown's a tough rent. That's my business. I own commercial and residential property. And Harrow, Wheatley are the two. McGregor's, they've always been tough. Places sit empty for a long period of time. I think this sign might attract pedestrian traffic as well, because when you go, you're going to go by, it's going to be really colorful, and when you're going to go by it, you're going to want to get out and walk around. So I don't know if it's going to be a hindrance. I know Mr. Watson's not a big fan. He voiced his opinion that, you know, it doesn't go with the bylaws, but I think it's out of the box as far as billboard sign in a cornfield, which personally I find a little intrusive, but I mean, this has already got a brick wall and it would be covered without having its own standalone location. That's pretty much...
Is that it, sir?
Yeah.
Okay, can I open, thank you for the presentation. Can I open it up to Councillor Vanendel?
Through Mr. Chair, does the proponent own the building?
Yes, my company owns a building.
Thank you. I'd just like to say I think it's a good idea. I mean, small businesses lost so many of the ways they used to be able to advertise. And I know planning doesn't like these signs, but without the signs, you can't actually connect citizens with the things they want to do. So I think in a time of changing media where, like, there was a time when 80% of the people read the Windsor Star, and now the other way around, 80% don't. So we need more billboards. That's why we're starting to see them in the county. I know I use them personally. I think it's a good idea. Do you only plan to do the one, or would you do more?
Well, I would like to do the other side of the building, but yeah, I would like to get something out on County Road 50, because I'm thinking it's going to work both ways. If you put it in Harrow, it's going to bring people out to the County Road 50. You put one on County Road 50 to attract people into Harrow. It's a tough rent in Harrow. It's tough to rent space out. There's been more. There's too bad there was demolition there on Queen Street that I was surprised to see. And I know Shep sat empty for a dozen years or so. This particular building sat empty for too long. It's, I think it needs some kind of, promotion. And I'm not sure if I'm able to ask any questions, but I was curious as to what's happening with the vacant lot. kitty corner to this, where the gas station used to be.
I don't know if we can answer it. Yeah, it's not on the agenda.
Okay.
So, are you done, Councillor? Councillor Bjorkman.
Thank you very much, to the Mayor. Thank you for bringing this forward. One of my questions is, I understand what you're looking at, promoting the businesses, the marina, the things like that, but how will you be able to control who is going to advertise there? If it's open advertising, it's pretty much open to, you can't deny people that want to advertise. Is there a control mechanism as to how you're going to accept?
I'm willing to put up signs for free in the beginning to get it kick-started with the particular businesses that I have in mind. It's mostly the wineries, bed and breakfasts, and eateries that I'm targeting. So if nobody wants to be the first in, so I'm willing to put in like 3, 4, 5 signs, whatever, possibly free for 6 months, a year. You want to renegotiate another year, that kind of thing.
Yeah. So really, these businesses, it could be any business that comes to you?
No, if somebody wanted to come advertise an online business, I wouldn't put that out there.
Are you able to say, no, I can't take your, I'm just talking about the legalities, like how do you choose who gets to put their sign there? Like, are you able to manage that legally?
I'm not 100% sure about that.
Okay, that's just a question. That's I was wondering. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other question? Councillor Bondi.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm not sure, sir, if you're the one that's been doing the work before. Like a couple years ago, I've tried to come by and introduce myself. I'm the ward councillor, and I've never met you face to face, and maybe you should get my card on your way out so we can talk about several things. So as it sits tonight, I'm not really prepared to make a decision. If council makes a decision and moves forward, then so be it. But I'm the rep on the chamber committee, and we just got the agenda last week. So it's hard to really run this idea through my head because it's not just about you. Like it's bigger than you. It's about all the businesses that could put up signs, right? And so we may be able to work with you. And actually, I really like this sign, right? But if we say yes to this, I feel like we're saying yes to, how can we say no after that? My experience on council has told me that there's a lot of signs in downtown Essex, in downtown Harrow, that look awful, and we can hardly do anything. We really can't do anything about them. So do I want to open more signs until we can enforce what we have? So, but I like this. I like where you're coming from, and I agree with it in principle. I just want to vet it through the chamber to make sure that I'm representing them, because I've been appointed by council to represent them. And I'm not sure if you're on Facebook, sir, but I did post it on my Facebook because I do a lot of public outreach, and I'm getting a lot of good comments, pros and cons, right? They didn't see this. I think that they would like this a little bit more. They just saw the one picture that you had. You know, people are saying bylaws can't enforced. They want to know what other towns can do. Who's going to maintain it? Because these are problems that we have. Businesses being allowed to market. Like, people think private businesses should be allowed to do what they want on their sign. I'm also getting, being in Harrow, that people in Harrow want to see murals. You know, Essex Center has a whole bunch of murals, and Harrow Center doesn't have murals, so, you know, we're going to get a whole bunch of signs and not have murals. I also don't want to punish good business owners because there's been bad business owners. So to me, it's a really big file, because we're not just talking about you, we're talking about all of our businesses. I'd like to have a little bit more time, perhaps work with you and see what you'd like, work with planning to see, talk to council, talk to the chamber. So that's where I'm at right now. I'm not ready to make a decision tonight. Thank you.
Thank you through you, Mr. Mayor. Just to express my opinion, I like the concept. I like where you're going with this. And my suggestion would be, if we were going to move forward with it and allow this, that it's one-offs, if not put it in the bylaw that we're now open to every billboard that comes along. Yeah, it would have to pass inspection and have good reason maybe the concept that goes behind it, why people want to have this particular kind of a billboard. And I think we can do that. It might be difficult, but I think we could do that. But I just wanted to put out there how I feel about this. Thanks.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Councillor Guerin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. To Jeff Watson, can you explain to us why most municipalities frown against third-party advertising, particular signs?
Through Mr. Mayor, actually, the biggest concern is actually billboards. You look at the city of Windsor, for example, it was wide open. One of the actual BC billboard builders came into Windsor and just basically swamped the place in billboards. And that created a very negative reaction because the billboards that are erected were huge and quite unsightly. The problem that we always face is that when it's off-site advertising is very difficult to control because, as was discussed, you can't really control the content. And that's really the issue. You're not advertising the premises, you're advertising a business that is not related to what's on the premises. And therefore, it's very difficult to say yes or no. Now, to his credit, Mr. Parent can say who can post and who can't because he's the owner of the sign, so he would have control over that. From our point of view, it's difficult, though, to control content. In the report, I show the guidelines that council set for off-site signs. And one of the things is you can't, for example, advertise a product, but you can advertise a business. So there are some things that you control in the way of content, but you can't control which business goes up there and which business does not. And so that's always been the concern. And the other problem, of course, is that, as I said, the billboards that are erected in the past, and there's a prime example across the street from Town Hall. They're unsightly, and they're disruptive, and of course a lot of people are offended by them simply aesthetically, if nothing else. So one of the things that I urge council to consider, and I like Councillor Bondi's idea that it be this specific plan be broached with the chamber, because I think the chamber should have some say, and local business should have some say in whether this should be erected or not, and whether or not they see it as an advantage to the town and to the community of Harrow. So this is one of those things where it's a little bit, I urge caution, but I'm not saying no. I'm saying basically, you look at the design, look at the intention, and look at, as you say, what consequences come from that, because I know other people want to put signs up. They're not quite as tasteful as this. And so at some point, where does council draw the line?
Thank you, Jeff. Any other questions? Councillor Vandernoel, you had a question?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair, I think we should err on the side of yes for this because we really need this. This completely matches our own policy about promoting tourism and our wineries and our eateries, and we're just now starting to get some new openings. And I think we really need this. I agree that we need possibly some limitations to prevent offensive stuff, but I don't see that there's any need for staff to become editors at this point. I mean, why don't we see how it works first before we become afraid of offensive content? I mean, we want to advertise wineries and things. I think it's a great idea. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other question? Councillor Guerin.
Yeah, just to that point, through you, Mayor, I still feel if we can't include them all, it's difficult to just have a few. The sign's only going to hold a few spots. We have lots of places that want to advertise their tourism. They may be coming into the Harrow market and advertising. It's a little unfair for the businesses that are trying to get that business that are already in Harrow as well, if they can't be on the sign. So I see why the third-party advertising is frowned upon in municipalities. It's so hard to control. It's very hard to, everybody would want to do it. So that's, I guess, the only point I had to Councillor Vanderdolen's.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other questions? I just have a question for you, sir. You're talking a possibility of 3 signs. Are you talking side by side up on that building? Is that what you were talking?
It would be similar to the one you have with another bank of business, like another row beside it. So 8 panels, possibly 9 with the peak might be a panel.
Okay, so I see what you're saying, but But you said three signs, so I see the picture of the two here, but
It
you're
would
going
be
to go
a total of another row beside it, and then it goes in with the dimension of the wall that's going up on. It would go up on.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Thank you. I'm going to ask council, what is their desire tonight on this? Councilor Bondi.
Mr. Mayor, can we just table until we meet with the chamber? Councilor Vanderdolen is also an alternate on the chamber, and you are also invited. I mean, anybody can come to the chamber meeting and just brainstorm. I really want to vet what our planner is saying, what the proponent is saying, because I do think there's other people on the chamber that have wanted such signs. So I do think once we say yes, we're going to be saying a big yes. And I'm okay with that if we say yes. I just want to vet it. So a motion to table until we meet with the chamber.
That's your motion. You're going to second that, Councilor Van?
Point of order.
Go ahead. Yeah. Okay, Councilor?
Yes, can we have the first meeting in July? Is that okay with you?
Okay, that's okay with the seconder? Yes. Good. It's okay. All in favor? It's carried. Thank you. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
On the agenda, we have Steve Taylor here, the president of BT Engineering, and he's here to speak tonight on the Hanlon Street Extension Environmental Assessment. This is in conjunction with Infrastructure and Development Report 2019-09, which report makes the recommendation to receive the presentation, endorse the recommended plan of the Hanlon Street Extension, and for council to approve and direct administration to proceed with the 30-day public review process for that extension.
Thank you, Rob. When you're ready, sir, you can go right ahead.
I'm just going to check on who's got control of the slides. It was on the screen? Is it running on a different laptop?
There we go. Got it. Okay. So is this yours here?
I think that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. And I'm just going to let you scroll through.
Yeah. Thank you, Your Worship. What I'm going to do tonight is just briefly walk us through the culmination of the environmental assessment that's been carried out for the Hanlon Street Extension. It has been a collaborative effort between the Ministry of Transportation and the town. And really tonight I'm going to talk about the conclusions of that study. What we need for action on tonight is, I've got with me tonight, this is the draft environmental assessment report. What is missing out of that report will be hopefully a recommendation for council that supports the recommendations in the report, and that we can proceed with a 30-day review period that's part of the Class A process. So on the screen, it's the background of the study is that there's a local primary study area for considering the alignments of the new road. The wider, broader study area is outside that, and that included the recommendations from the Ministry of Transportation's environmental assessment for Highway 3. In that environmental assessment, they had recommended the grade separation of Victoria Avenue and a recommendation to provide mitigation for that effect by providing a link from Hanlon Street to County Road 23. And that was the domino that fell that created the need for this EA study to define the exact alignment, form, and function of that new road. So the municipal dossier was initiated in 2017 and described it's to define what that plan will be. It included a technical advisory committee, including the town and the Ministry of Transportation, to guide the decision-making along with the consultant team. We had stakeholder meetings along the way to engage the public and property owners and public information centers, and it has led to a final environmental assessment report. So the Environmental Assessment Act prescribes a kind of decision-making process. It shows key milestone activities that happen as you go through that decision-making process. Just a couple of ones we had in this this study was an initial study design document that described upfront what we proposed to do and look at, engage the public at the very beginning. I'll come back to that. And then had some technical activities where we did investigations and define the background and environmental conditions, and then announce evaluation alternatives that were considering those existing conditions. Public consultation, we had a couple events, but the most successful was one that's not prescribed by the municipal class A. It's a discretionary step in the process. We had a community cafe event where we asked the community to come in to describe their issues and thoughts for the project before we had anything in the way of decisions. It was very successful and ended up with a lot of ideas that were incorporated in the final context-sensitive design that I'll describe in a second. The second PIC was the first PIC that followed that event was to show the community the concepts that were generated at that initial meeting. The second one was to show the evaluation of the alternatives and the selected opt-in, and they had stakeholder meetings, including the Catholic School Board. And we ended up with a recommended plan that included a greater audience than just the Ministry of Transportation and the town. We ended up with engagement with the developer that owned the development lands you see in yellow, as well as the school board that had the access for the school onto Hamlin Street today and it will be in the future. And what the recommended plan you have in front of you tonight, it shows an integrated land use transportation plan. So it's a context-sensitive kind of design that has the fingerprints of the community that attended that first community cafe event. It's focused on a slow green corridor. Elements in that are the roundabouts. We've got a raised crosswalk at the very west end, and it's got ability for some greening along the corridor and with medians and space on the lateral sides. It has avoided, there's a significant woodlot along the southern boundary of the road, so it's been realigned to go above it. The land use has been focused all on the north side of the roadway, allowing the south side to be a natural area. Our multi-use path will actually navigate in and out of the road corridor into the woodlot, making it more of a community feature for traveling along the road. And as I described, the land developer in the area has been part of the decision-making process, has had a review of the final report, and we are ready to file it for public review. This is just a kind of view of the cross-section. So that first at the west end has a divided median, and that's to limit the traffic out of the schools, but all the school traffic will be on that side, will be on the left side or the south side. We have a separate dedicated bus drop-off lane that's off the road. It's been developed in combination with participation by the school board. So all bus pickup and drop-off will be on the school property, but it will be all activity of children will be off the road. This is a cross-section farther to the east, but what it demonstrates is we've got the pedestrian multi-use paths on both sides of the road, but it shows a wider area for a ditch, which is part of our stormwater management measures. The plan that I showed before actually had a location for 2 stormwater management facilities, and it's a way that we can eliminate a closed stormwater system at this end, being more compatible, best practice for stormwater management. So where do we go from here? We finished the ESR, and we'll have it open for a 30-day public review period based on council's direction.
It will allow for any member of the public to comment or object, and that objection will go to the Minister of the Environment, Parks and Climate. And tonight, we're just looking for direction that we can have a domino fall, and it will lead to the completion of the EA stage. And if it gets through the 30-day period, review period without any objections, it gives the town and the Ministry of Transportation environmental clearance to proceed with the project, and it'll give the adjacent land developer certainty in where the property line will be for the road.
Thank you very much for the presentation. I'm going to open it up to council. Any questions before we ask for a recommendation to be approved? No questions? Yep. Deputy Mayor Malash.
Dear Mr. Mayor, I'm very happy that we were able to do some negotiations with the Holy Name Catholic School. I know that they were looking for some solutions to, they had some concerns about the roadway there and how their bus pickups would work out and so on. So I'm very excited that the committee was able to come up with a plan that would create a partnership there with the school. Thank you.
Any other questions? At this point, I need a motion to accept the report. And a motion, please. Councillor Bowman and Councillor Vandal. Any other questions? All in favor? It's carried. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Item 8.1 on the agenda is Planning Report 2019-28, re-delegation of approval authority. That said report be received or received and supported, and if so supported, that administration be directed to advise the warden for the County of Essex that the town is requesting delegation of approval authority for plans of subdivision and condominium and part lot control exemption. And I believe our policy planner, Jeff Watson, will be speaking to that report and its recommendations.
Thank you, Rob. Go ahead, Jeff.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I know Council is familiar with Bill 108, which is the new provincial act. It's called More Homes, More Choices Act, and it was basically established in response to public input and input from the construction industry that it was difficult to get houses on stream quickly to meet the demands of the residents of Ontario. And so this act has come out. It makes some very dramatic changes to several acts: the Development Charges Act, the Endangered Species Act, the Planning Act, and so on and so on. And its intention, though, is to basically streamline the process for approvals, streamline the costs and the time that basically developers take in which to get projects on stream, particularly in regard to housing. The response from municipalities has been quite mixed. The goals and objectives, I think, are very laudable, but there have been concerns raised by municipalities over issues like development charges, the impact on that, on endangered species, the impact on how that is treated. And so while it has been approved in the first reading, it's and tabled for public response, it's basically back to the drawing board for some reconsideration in some respects. The topic was raised between the mayor and I about Bill 108 and the implications to the town, but also the question was, what can be done locally that hasn't been addressed or hasn't been looked at under Bill 108? And that's the purpose of this report. Currently, the way things are structured, the City of Windsor, for example, is a single-tier entity. They approve their own official plans, their own zoning bylaws. Basically, they're responsible for themselves, with no particular oversight on the provincial government. For us, though, we're a two-tier municipality. And what that means is that basically we have the manager of planning services for the county, who now is Rebecca Belanger. She has replaced Bill King, who's retired, and it comes in one day a week to assist. But basically, she's the one who's responsible for certain things that are initiated by the town and by the development industry, and that is official plans, our official plan, our amendments to the official plan,
She approves draft plans of subdivision, draft plans of condominium, and as well as part lot control. So basically, while council does look at the applications for developers and looks at the rezoning, looks at the development agreement and all the things that have to fall in place to get a plan of subdivision approved, for example, ultimately it has to be approved by the manager of planning services. So basically, you have two levels of government looking at the same thing. The question then is it necessary for two levels of government to do that? And the recommendation before you is basically to make an application to the warden, who in turn would be looking to county council for direction and looking to the Ministry of Municipal Affairs for direction, with the request that the delegation of authority be given to us. So in other words, we would be responsible for approving our plan of subdivisions, our plans of condominium and part lot control. I'm not suggesting that official plans and official plan amendments be taken from the county. I think it's appropriate that they continue that. With Rebecca in place now, she is making efforts to streamline the process as much as she can. She's trying to make it more user-friendly. She's making efforts to make it more user-friendly, but she really hasn't changed the process in any way. And the question is, we have a town of Essex official plan, we have a county official plan, we have the provincial policy statement, all of which basically direct us and make mandates that we must comply with. So, given that oversight, what's wrong with us having the delegation of authority? Why is it necessary that the county do so? If the intention of Bill 108 is to streamline the process and make the timing and the cost for developers basically better and the whole process more efficient, this is one way to do it. That's one side of the argument. The other thing is that we're in a situation where basically approval of plans of subdivision, for example, take a huge amount of time on the part of the manager of planning services. Bill was that's essentially what he did, and Rebecca's in the same boat. And beside the fact that is it really necessary, the other question is it really, should that really be the priority for the county? One of the big concerns is on my part is that there are a lot of policies that really aren't being looked at. For 3 years, we looked at, for example, the size of farm lots. And to this day, we still have not got any policies in place, and it's still a very divisive thing amongst municipalities. So basically, other than looking at the official plan for the county and looking at our official plans, the one real policy initiative that was implemented in the last 3 years is still languishing. And really, the question is, where should the priorities lie? To me, the priority should really lie with policy. We have a lot of issues that we have to address at a regional level. Climate change doesn't stop at our border. Traffic doesn't stop at our border. Issues with farmers and the issues that they're facing right now don't stop at our border. They're regional issues, and they have to be addressed from in a regional manner. And essentially, I hope that will happen. That basically, if the responsibility for plan of subdivision approval and that sort of thing is given to us, then the county then can divert resources to policy that affect all of us regionally. And that's really what this push is all about. Now, I can expect that when this is posed to the warden, we won't be the only municipality that will have a say in this, and you can expect that other municipalities will probably want the same thing. And but that's fine. They're all bound by the same mandates. They're all bound by the same policies at the provincial level. The county still has the right of appeal. The county still would have the right to consult with municipalities. So basically, it's not like they're cut. They're part of the process. The difference is that they can at least focus on policies that are more important to us on a regional basis.
Thank you, Jeff. Just before I open it up to council, Jeff and I had quite conversations on this, and if we could get this approved, this would be great for our municipalities and other municipalities moving forward. I'm sure they're going to get on board with this. This will speed up the process of development all the way around, so good work, Jeff. So I'll open it up to council if council has any questions. Councillor Vanendel.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, I think this is a great idea. I bet most of our residents would be shocked to know that we don't have that control and that we have to hand it off to somebody else who then gets to rule. My question is, what if they say no? Can we go over their heads to the ministry? Since this government is pushing Bill 108, you'd think they'd have an interest in putting some leverage on them.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I expect this report, basically the recommendation is a letter go to the warden, but I expect the warden to take this to county council, and I expect the Ministry of Municipal Affairs to be informed of this. So, as I say, Bill 108 is hanging over all of our heads. Is it better that we let the province dictate what happens, or is it better that we have a say in it, and in a way that's, as far as I'm concerned, completely appropriate?
Thank you. Councillor Bjorkman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thanks, Jeff, for the report. And to the point that you make in the report with regard to our town being the first to adopt both a comprehensive official plan and zoning plan, and the first to amend its official plan to incorporate the new policies. We've led these kinds of things, and I believe you're correct. When this comes forward to county council, there are going to be other communities that say, well, why shouldn't we be self-determining as well? I think this puts it in our hands. Now, what it also does is it puts it in our hands. So we need to make sure what we're doing, what we really want to be doing, because there isn't somebody else to say, well, they said no, so we couldn't do it. No, we make the decision, and it'll be our decision. But I think it's important that it's a local decision, and we know best what our communities want, and we should be able to represent them that way. So I'm 100% in favor of this.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other council members? Councillor Bundy.
Just, Mr. Mayor, when the time is right, just to receive and support, I also think it's a great idea.
Thank you. Any other councillors? Gonna go ahead. Seconder, Councillor Bannon, all in favor? It's carried. Thank you very much, Jeff, for that report. Good work. Thank you.
8.2, Planning Report 2019-29, rezoning application, Noah Homes, east side of County Road 13, south of Pollard Drive. That said report be received with the recommendations that council authorizes the preparation of a rezoning bylaw to rezone the subject lands from A 1.1 to R 2.2, plus provide for site-specific supplementary zoning as noted in that report, that an increase in the width of an attached garage from 60% of the width of the dwelling to 70% not be approved, and that a reduction of the required front yard from 6 meters to 4.5 meters not be approved. And once again, our policy planner, I believe, will be speaking to the report and its recommendations.
Jeff?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you know, on May 23rd, we had a statutory public meeting in Harrow, basically to look at this whole development. It's 72 dwelling units in a mix of singles and semis, and it's located basically at the south end of what would be the Harrow settlement area. So it's the last developable property at the south end of Harrow. It was quite obvious from the public meeting that there's a lot of enthusiastic response. And as you know, Walter held a public meeting last winter, and it was probably the best attended meeting we've ever had locally. So the demand for new residential development in Harrow is certainly there. The question is how, what kind? And the proposal is to change the zoning from agricultural, which it is right now, it's designated residential in the official plan, to R2.2, which would permit singles, semis, and townhomes. And from a planning point of view, we have no objection to that. We think that's perfectly fine. There are other requests, though, to have some supplementary changes that are site-specific to this property. One of them is to reduce what's called the exterior side yard, which is basically the side of a corner lot facing the street. And the bylaw requires 15 feet, 4.5 meters. The request is to reduce it from 4.5 meters to 1.2 meters, 4 feet. And that's not without precedent. That was granted for Essex Crossing by council, and the Committee of Adjustment also granted some similar variances for Townsview and Chicana subdivision. So it's out there, and word spreads. And from a planning point of view, again, we don't have any particular objection to the reduction in the exterior side yard. One of the arguments is that the purpose of the exterior side yard is to have the look of the side yard look like the front yard of the house next door on the on the inside block. But if you put up a 6-foot screening fence, you basically negated that. So we take the position it'd be better just to allow construction on that 11 feet of the 15, but with a stipulation that no garage door could face that exterior side yard, because you don't want cars parking within that 4-foot strip and basically overhanging the boulevard. So garage door would have to be located in such a manner that they would come in from the side, not from the road. The two issues of contention are as noted, the reduction in the front yard from 20 feet to 15 feet. The zoning bylaw originally actually had 25 feet as required front yard. It was reduced again for Essex Crossing, and with the stipulation that would be it. And so we've gone from 25 feet to 20 feet. And again, that has now become the norm. So reducing to 15 feet is quite a radical change. And with vehicles being, like a Ford F-150 is about 19 feet long, for example, there's no way you can stay on the property with your vehicle. It's going to overhang into the public right-of-way. It's particularly a problem when there's a sidewalk. But, we've had further discussions with Mr. Branco, and I think he has some alternative suggestions concerning that for discussion. So the last thing, of course, is the ratio between a garage width and the width of the dwelling. And the bylaw basically sets 60% as the ratio of the garage relative to the width of the property, of the house. And we've had this discussion many times. One of the issues, of course, is the whole concept of snout house. Robert, can you go to my report to page 5? And you'll see pictures of 2 house plans. The one on the left, of course, is what we have in a derogatory way call a snout house. So basically, you can see it's a long, narrow property, and beside that is a house, which is a townhome or a semi, which meets our bylaw requirements. And you'll see from the house on the left that basically what you see is a garage. So basically, the street is a row of garages and parked cars. And that's essentially what the neighborhood looks like. In this example, this is the extreme example, if you notice that the door to the main pedestrian door is actually invisible from the street. In fact, they can't even see who's coming up to the porch until somebody's actually on the porch. And we've talked in the past about the SEPTEB principles, which is basically crime prevention through environmental design. And the idea being that front doors and habitable room windows should be visible from the street, and also people can see the street from those same units. So a snout house, of course, is contrary to that. If you look at the house on the right, it's similar square footage. The rooms are all approximately the same size. The garage is the same size. But you can see in that example, which meets our bylaw requirements, that the front door and one of the habitable rooms actually face the street. So from a crime prevention point of view, this is much more desirable. But also, in terms of livability, there's eyes on the street, seeing what your neighbors are doing, seeing who's going by, it's all very significant. Now, I was born and raised in Old Riverside, and when I got married, I basically bought a house in Old Riverside as well, on Valere. And if you look at that area, you'll see basically houses with living rooms that face the street. You'll see kids playing on the street because the parents can look out their window and see them. You'll see senior citizens sitting on their front porches watching people going by. So it's a very different environment, and a very much more social and community environment than what you'll see in a lot of modern subdivisions where snout houses are the dominant use. Now, home builders basically tell me I'm out to lunch, that I'm living in dreamland if I think that kind of neighborhood is ever going to be built again. What I'm told today is it's all about cars, it's all about storage. That's what counts. That's what determines house design. That's all very nice. Can you go to Robert, one of the 2 slides, that one? there's an example in LaSalle where basically you have your garage, you have your storage, but you also meet our basic emphasis on having habitable room windows and having front doors which face the street. So in other words, they're not all stud houses out there. There are other options that people are buying and that are being sold. And this is an area in LaSalle where basically stud houses are not permitted, where that's the kind of design that has to be built. In other words, the garage can't project more than a few meters from the front entry, and it can't project past the habitable room window of that one room that you see there. For every stud house example you show me, I can show you examples like that elsewhere in Leamington and Windsor that are the same price or less and that meet all of our bylaw requirements. Can you show the other slide, please? This is one I saw in the paper on Saturday. It's in East Riverside in Windsor, Sierra Meadows Townhome Community it's called. And you can see in that case, the living room actually faces the street. You've got the main entrance and you've got the main windows facing the street. You've got those units are, the base price is $317,000, which is pretty good by today's standards. They advertise that they have high efficiency windows, high efficiency hot water tank, real plywood kitchen cupboards, and essentially what they're saying is they can build a house like that, which would be perfectly satisfactory in Harrow, and relatively affordable relative to the cost of houses today, that meet all of our bylaw requirements. So the big issue is really, builders build houses, but you build neighborhoods, you build communities, and it's a question you have to resolve, and you have to find that balance. How do you build a proper, cohesive, resilient neighborhood and a proper, cohesive, resilient community, and still balance the demands of local builders? So that's what you have to deal with tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm not sure if council's up to hearing Mr. Walter Branco speak. He is here. I have some questions for him too. Is this, what, we know that it's market driven. We want to build what people want. And so is it an absolute must to have the 70%? But also I think he provided these. And these, if this is 70%, this is actually a really nice looking house. So is there a way we can have the best of both worlds? Maybe we can have it all. I'm not opposed to this if this is what the 70% looks like. It's a really nice looking home. I think there is demand there, and I want to work with the developer to make it happen.
Thank you. Councillor Vanden.
I agree with Councillor Bondi. I'm very suspicious of administration's willingness to take on this social engineering role where it decides about what kind of houses make a cohesive group. I just don't really understand that. And I think, I've said before in this chamber that I disagree with this denigrating term, snout houses. I mean, people are going to buy what they can afford. I mean, everyone would love to have a winding driveway into the backyard to a separate garage, but we don't live in those times anymore. As you pointed out, we can't even afford to build Riverside anymore. I would like to see at least one sidewalk in this neighborhood. I take it there isn't any room for that. I do agree that the shorter front to 15 feet is probably not a good idea. Oh yes, I meant to ask if the side lot being reduced to 4 feet, could a sidewalk, if that was not allowed, could one sidewalk down the main street be added to this? Thank you.
Through Mr. Mayor, actually the plan that is being contemplated is also in my report. It's on page 3 of the report. Where'd it go? Somebody lost it. There it is. Actually, okay, that shows enough of it. Basically, in this plan, he shows 3 cul-de-sacs. They would not have sidewalks. But Street A, which is the street which basically goes from County Road 13 to the east limit of the subdivision, would have a sidewalk on its south side. So where you see the single-family homes, which are on the left side, that's where the sidewalk would go.
Thank you, Jeff. Any other questions? Councillor Yorkman.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. Just some comments and maybe a couple questions. I agree with Chris as far as the 15-foot front yard might be going too small, but is that something that we can address later? Like we want to do a bylaw here. Excuse me a minute. So we want to do a bylaw to allow for the building in this rezoning. Do we have to say yes to 15-foot front yards, or can we wait until it's time to build and they come with a plan and maybe we see something different? Okay, so you have an opportunity to address that at a later date.
Through Mr. Mayor, I think Walter has more to say about that. We had a meeting with Walter on Friday, and we talked about that very thing. And we got down to the possibility of an 18-foot front yard, for example. Where the problem occurs is at the top of the cul-de-sacs, where and so the idea is basically the idea is to basically try to mitigate that problem up there, and I think Walter has some suggestions for that.
I'll form my question differently. So any subdivision, we haven't decided, we're going to pass our bylaw to change the zoning, but we're not going to specifically mention the 15-foot front yard. If somebody wanted to change that at a later date before the build, do they have an opportunity to come to us and request it?
Through Mr. Mayor, you could approve this bylaw in 2 parts. You could approve it, for example, allowing the R2 zoning, and you could later on pass a further bylaw to deal with that if that's still an issue, as long as you do it fairly expeditiously as part of the subdivision process.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Further to that, as far as the 70% front, we're looking for people to invest in our community. We're looking for people to come and build. Here's a builder who has come to us and he's looking to build. I think it's important to remember how long some of these places have stayed empty, how long there hasn't been development in areas. And now people are coming forward and they're offering a project, a development, that is selling in other areas. We don't have this all through our community. It's not like this is the only thing we're going to build, but it's something that people buy. It gets built in other communities, and they flourish. So if people don't want 70% frontage in their house, don't buy this house. Take it to the market. The market will be there, or the market won't be there. It's not up to us to tell people where they're going to live. I have friends that have more electronics and fun stuff in their garage than I have in my whole house now. And they actually live in their garages. They interplay with the other people on their street through their garage. It's not that they need a porch anymore. And we all know people that have those party garages, and that's where they live. It's used for that. So I don't see an issue with the development doing that. These homes, one of the other problems that people will point out, they'll say, well, you're building these cheap homes. These are not cheap homes. There are no more brand new cheap homes. These are going to sell for a lot of money, and people will take care of them because this is where they want to live. These are people that don't want yards. They don't want all the upkeep. Maybe they're retired, maybe they're starters, but there's a market for these, and we have to be open to that market. So I'm leery about the 15-foot front yard, but as far as the frontage of the garage and the rest of what is being presented here, I don't have a problem.
Thank you, Councillor. Anybody else? If I may, I got to agree with whatever council is saying here, I agree with the 70% garage. I mean, I could use it myself, but I think people are looking for that, and I respect your opinion. Jeff, we don't usually disagree, but I got to disagree with you on this one. I agree with the 70% garage, but I don't agree, I do not agree with the front yard reduction. So that's my opinion. Thank you.
Just one comment, and I think it was mentioned before. Once we reduce the requirement in any one area, it becomes the norm. And unfortunately, that's what gets built is the norm, not the other. There's very few of the other built. It's built to the norm. So I think we have to be very careful that we look at these very carefully and as we move forward. And I like the option of changing the zoning and coming back to these reductions at a later date. I would think that would make more sense. It gets our developer moving, and we get another look at it.
Councilor Bondi.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. When the time is right, I would like to receive the report in that we change the zoning and that we increase the width of the attached garage, but we do not touch we do not reduce the required front yard.
You can make that motion right.
That seemed to be kind of what I was hearing from council that they're okay with.
You can make that motion right now, Councilor.
Okay, I just made that motion then.
Seconder, Councilor Guerin. Any other questions on this? All in favor? Oh, pardon me. Councilor.
It should have included the side yard too, if I might just add that.
Yeah.
You're okay with the side yard? You're okay, Councilor, with the side yard? Okay, you have that in the motion, and we had a seconder, Councilor Guerin. All in favor of that motion? I'm in favor of it. It's carried. Thank you. Thank you, Walter, for coming out. Walter?
8.3, Planning Report 2019-31, former Harold Junior School Property Development Agreement for 2484775 Ontario, Inc. This is together with Bylaw 1825 to enter into said development agreement. That said report be received, that council approves and authorizes the execution of a development agreement, and that Bylaw 1825 accordingly receive 3 readings this evening.
Do I have an approval to receive it and move forward? Councilor Bowman. Seconder, Councilor Bjorkman. Any questions? Councilor Bondi.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, perhaps to our, maybe our policy planner, Jeff Watson. When we approve this development agreement, do we, as council, approve the demolition grant, or is that something that we've given you authority of?
Through Mr. Mayor, yes, there's a letter on file with the clerk from them asking for additional monies toward the demolition grant. And the reason for that is because in the CIP grant program, we will give $6,000 for $12,000 worth of demolition or more. So it's a maximum of $6,000. The exception is if the demolition cost is $250,000 or higher, council, basically, we would automatically give them $25,000. The problem is there's a big gap in the middle, and their demolition costs are running in the around $80,000. So what they've asked the clerk to take to council is to have some sort of compensation that goes past $6,000, even if it doesn't go to the 25. The reason why it hasn't gone to council today is because under the CIP grant program, they have to have 2 estimates for the cost of demolition. They only have 1. So basically, I told them, when you have your second estimate and we have a clear idea of what the costs are likely to be, then I would report back to council with a recommendation for some kind of middle ground type of grant.
And further to that, Mr. Mayor, through you, back to our policy planner, Mr. Watson. A cost of an EA or an environmental assessment has to happen after it's demoed, and then we don't have any such program to help with that. I haven't been through this before. It's kind of exciting to get this junior school demolished, but I haven't been through a big capital project being demolished.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, it's not an environmental assessment. Basically, they have to do a record of site condition at the end. Because the building had asbestos in it, they have to clear the site, and then they have to prove to the Ministry of Environment that basically the site is not contaminated in any way. That's what they have to do, and that's a requirement no matter what. So, and now we don't, under the demolition grant, we don't distinguish that from any other kind of demolition activity. Basically, it's part of the demolition process, and how much money they get is entirely up to council.
Any other questions? All in favor? It's carried.
8.4, Municipal Drainage, 2019-03, appointment of an engineer for repairs and improvements to the Batten Drain. That said report be received and that council appoints the engineering firm of Root Engineering to develop said report.
Moved by Councillor Bjorkman, second by Councillor Verbeek. Any questions? All in favor? It's carried.
8.5, Infrastructure and Development, 2019-07, results of request for tender for the supply of pickup truck. That said report be received and that council awards the request for the supply of pickup truck to Ken Knapp Ford in the amount of $46,258.06, and that council approves the additional funding above the allocated 2019 capital budget through utilizing current savings from 2019 projects PW 190041 and 190037.
Have a mover, please. Councillor Bowman, seconder, Councillor Bjorkman. Any questions on this one? All in favor? Thank you, it's carried.
8.6, Infrastructure and Development, 2019-08, results of request for proposal for supply of winter control equipment for two items, a single-axle plow truck and a supply of single-axle plow truck cab and chassis. That said report be received and that council awards the request for proposal and the request for tender as follows. A, that the supply of winter control equipment for the single-axle plow truck be awarded to Viking in the amount of $123,430.80. And B, the supply of the single-axle plow truck cab and chassis be awarded to 401 Truck Source in the amount of $130,201.31. And lastly, that council approves the additional funding above the allocated 2019 capital budget through utilizing current savings from 2019 projects PW 190041 and 190037.
A mover, please. Deputy Mayor Malash and Councillor Verbeek. Any questions on this one? All in favor? It's carried. Thank you.
8.7, Clerk's Report 2019-014, quarter revision for the Sydenham Street Drain and Bagot Street Drain. This together with Bylaw 1824, provisional passage to provide for the Sydenham Street Drain and Bagot Street Drain. That said Clerk's Report be received, that Misters Carter, Martin, and Dufour be appointed to sit as members of the Quarter Revision on July 2nd, 2019, and that Bylaw 1824 receive provisional passage this evening.
A mover, please. Councillor Bondi and Councillor Bowman. Any questions on this one? All in favor? It's carried. Thank you.
Item 9, any reports from our youth members this evening?
Yes, absolutely report.
Through you, ahead, Councillor.
I would like to report that Essex District High School had an amazing turnout for Relay for Life, and more information will be forthcoming.
Good.
Item 10, any updates from County Council this evening?
I haven't anything. Deputy Mayor Malash, have you have?
Yes, there's nothing really to report, Mr. Mayor. It's a lot of what we're dealing with in the last few meetings are just operational issues with the county, and really nothing pertaining to specifically any issues that we'd be interested in having discussions on. Thanks.
Item 11.1, correspondence to be received on consent, that the correspondence listed in 11.1 be received and where indicated to further share using suitable methods of communication.
Mover for correspondence, please. Councillor Bowman and Councillor Guerin. All in favor? It's carried. Thank you. Oh, I've got a question from Councillor Bjorkman. Go ahead. Yes, yes.
Through your worship, yeah, your development charge bylaw expires the end of August at such time, so you can't extend something that's going to expire. So I think in July, the consultant's going to be coming back to discuss development charges with you. At that time, you can set how you choose to move forward with that. So it's something that can wait till then. It's nothing you can do or you want to do right now. I think you need to have a discussion where you're going to land with respect to both municipal and sanitary charges, and then go from there. So it's something you can basically hold that discussion to the discussion you're going to have on development charges, your bylaw.
Thank you, Chris. So, Councillor, we can prove the rest of them and just...
Yep, so if we can say we need to respond to that letter, that correspondence, and let them know, no, that's not going to happen.
Okay, thank you. Other than that, the rest are okay? So, all in favor?
Thank you. I understand the reasons why we have to put it on hold, but I still think it's giving some developers out there a little sense of what's going on. Are they going to do it? You know, they don't really know, right? So just for the public record, I want to say that I'm going to support it. That's what I can say. I have 1/8 of a say, so I'll say that. And I also just want to point out the Essex Windsor Solid Waste Authority, their diversion report is a really good read. And if you ever get a chance to read it, members of the public, it's up on our website. Something I would love to have, it's on my bucket list for this term of council. I walk my baby to daycare, and every Thursday when there's recycle, I look at the recycle boxes, and 9 out of 10 people in our municipality do not recycle correctly. So if you read your garbage calendar, you know, your municipal calendar, it has tons of recycle tips in there. You can like the Essex Windsor Solid Waste Authority on Facebook. They also have a Recycle Coach app that you can punch in, you know, is my Tim Hortons cup, is my lid, what's recyclable, what's not, because we're just doing it all wrong. And I try to do a lot of little posts on my Facebook so we could do it better, because when we do it wrong, we are increasing costs in how much it costs us. It's money wasted, right? So with staff hours, you know, when you put your penny saver in the garbage and you leave that bag on it, it's clogging up the machines. So it's costing us all money. We're really recycling ineffectively and inefficiently down here in Essex County, and I think we could do a lot better. We didn't have a chance to talk about this in a strategic planning session, but I really think this council should talk about some of those things. In the survey results I got back in my ward, I'm hearing people want compost. In the survey results that we did as a town, I'm reading through some of the small print. People in Essex Center, Ward 1, really like the green bins. So can we look at getting green bins in Harrow Center? So that's a big file. I know it's not a conversation for tonight, but it's something I want to keep on our radar and have a discussion with council about. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. We had a motion already, but all in favor of that motion? Yeah, it's carried.
Correspondence for receipt or receipt and support, 11.2.1, that correspondence from the Township of McNabb Braeside asking that council consider supporting their resolution that requests the Premier of Ontario to reconsider the requirement that secondary school students be required to take 4 high school credits as online courses until rural Ontario students can be given the same opportunity to access the internet as urban students for receipt or receipt and support, and if so supported, that the appropriate letter be sent.
It's your pleasure on this one. Support? Okay, Councillor Van Andel, seconder, Councillor Verbeek. All in favor? It's carried.
.2.2 correspondence from the town of Lakeshore, support of new regional hospital for Windsor-Essex County resolution. That this correspondence asking council to consider supporting the town of Lakeshore's resolution that any new regional hospital services for Windsor-Essex County should be placed in a location that serves the majority of residents of Windsor-Essex County, and that the current proposed location will serve the region as a whole and help improve health care in the region. For receipt or receipt and support.
Councillor Bowman, any questions on this one? All in favor? Oh, Councillor Bondi.
Sorry, me again, I know. I just have a question for our county reps, because I'm not on county council, so I don't follow it as much, but can you just describe what the county municipalities are going to be responsible paying for? Like, what does that look like? Does the county have a handle on that? I'm curious about that, and I want to put it out there too, like, I want a new hospital, and I want an improvement in healthcare. So I'm hoping that this is an improvement in healthcare with more beds, and I'm just interested in the funding.
Here, Mr. Mayor, if you'd like me to I think I know the answer to what you're asking. I think I know the question. So the cost of the new hospital is about $2 billion. They're looking for the local municipalities to cover 10% of that cost, which is $200 million. And it's probably going to be split by population, is what we're guessing. So Windsor would probably have a little over 50%, and the county will have a little under 50% of that cost. So the county has already said we're banking on about $100 million. The county's already started collecting. They imposed a 2% increase. As soon as we knew that there was a possibility of this happening, we worked it into the budget to have a 2% increase in our county rates that same year, and went low on every other operating cost that we could to keep the increase low. But that same 2% gets collected every year, and then every little bit of surplus that we have gets thrown into that pot. We do have donations right now that we're helping out with. We contributed, I forget if it was $2 million to the new cardiac care at Hotel du Hospital when they were doing it, so that we could have the work done here when you have a stent being put in. And we know that cost is going to stop. Like, it was $200,000 a year we were contributing for 20 years or 10 years or whatever. When that's done and that cost goes away, that money's also going into the pot. So another $200,000 a year. So we're figuring that by the time, it's estimated that by the time we get to when the hospital actually is built, we'll have almost all of the money, and we will have the rest of it by the time we'll take like a mortgage out for an extra 8 years that we'll collect taxes on it.
Thank you. But we will have, Councillor, we will have the majority of the money when it was brought up. Councillor Vandendel?
A question through you to the Deputy Mayor. So it's my understanding that the people of Essex will contribute about $8.5 million of the $100 million for the county?
That sounds correct. It's based on population.
Yeah.
But that's through their Essex County taxes, property taxes. Won't be through the town of Essex portion, it'll be through the county of Essex portion.
No, but it is on their property taxes.
Correct.
Yes, and I'm strongly in favor of this hospital, and I think almost everybody out here in the county is.
Yes.
But I think it's important for everybody to know that they're already paying for it. Each of us has paid several $100s per year for a few years.
Already, correct.
And we're going to pay for many more years.
Correct.
And if this thing doesn't get built, we're going to have to drive to London for care.
That's correct.
So,
that's correct.
I'd really like a powerful support of this motion from Lakeshore.
We all know we do have that one group fighting it, so, and that's where and it is a small group. We got to remember, it's a small group that's fighting the location. So, and they're going to lose the battle. So, Deputy Mayor Minash.
Thank you. Sorry. And I think too, a lot of the organizations or the businesses that are opposed to this new location, they're not looking at what's best for the healthcare service in this region. They're looking what's best to service their business. You're looking at BIAs downtown Windsor that are saying, "Oh, don't move the hospital." But in my mind, it's the reason why they're opposed is because they don't want to lose business that they have in their area because the hospital is in their area. It's not because whether they believe that the hospital is better in that location to serve people. It's to service their businesses, particularly. All I've got to say is, wow, can you believe that we, here in Essex, when we put our proposal forward a couple of years ago, we were one of the finalists. And even at that point in time, if we had been chosen, can you imagine the outrage that would have happened? We knew that we probably wouldn't be chosen for the simple reason of what was going on right now, where it's being moved to the edge of the city. But I believe that any service that we have with the city of Windsor, like if we're gonna join a common cause and have a common service for Windsor and Essex, it can't be downtown Windsor. It can't be on the waterfront. It's got to be so that the proximity of whatever service it is accessible to the county residents as well. And this new location will be accessible to the residents of Essex County. So if everyone wants the county to contribute to this cause, $100 million of the cost, then we absolutely have to have some convenience for our residents as well. And this is the way we're going to do it. And I think it's a great location. I know at the time when the location was chosen, there were a lot of open houses, and County Council was fully guaranteed that it wouldn't be center or downtown Windsor, and that's the reason why we committed the $100 million. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Any other questions? I need a motion. All in favor of the motion? It's carried. Thank you.
11.2.3, that correspondence from the town of Grimsby and the township of the Archipelago. Each municipality asking that council support their resolutions, requesting that the Ontario government halt the legislative advancement of Bill 108 to properly engage and consult with municipalities before further considering the proposed legislation, be received or received and supported. If so supported, that the appropriate letter be sent. 12.1, that the minutes of the Drainage Board meeting of May 21st, 2019 be received and adopted as circulated.
Over, Deputy Mayor Malash, seconder, Councillor Guerin. All in favor? It's carried.
Under financial this evening, 13.1, the 2019 operating expense budget variance report for the month ending April 30th for receipt by council this evening.
Mover, please. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Bowman and Deputy Mayor Malash. All in favor? It's carried.
Item 15, under notices of motion. Oh, I'm sorry.
Can we have a notice of motion? Somebody would...
Under notice of motion, we have during adoption this evening, Deputy Mayor Malash indicated he had a notice of motion. This would be for presentment only and would come back to the June 17th meeting for council's consideration at that time.
Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, through your worship. My notice of motion reads that council request, and I will send this to Mr. Roger and Mr. Sweet, who's mentioned in here, and members of council, that council request a report from the Director of Communication, Mr. Doug Sweet, in which the report would offer potential solutions to eliminate and/or at minimum combat bullying and foul language currently being experienced at parks within the municipality of the town of Essex. And I did put in here to be requested at our next meeting of council on Monday, June the 17th.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Item 16 on the agenda, reports and announcements from the council members.
Deputy Mayor Malash.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor, I do have an event that's coming up Sunday, June the 9th. It's the McGregor Music Festival. It's held every year at the Coan Park. From noon till 9 o'clock in the evening, there's a different band that plays every hour. It's $5 admission. The committee sells raffle tickets. There's a pig auction. There's a raffle on a 3-liter bottle of Weisers. All kinds of interesting, different kinds of fundraisers that go on at the event. If you've got an hour or two to come out, bring your lawn chair, come out, sit out, listen to good music. There's an open bar, good food, and good company. Who of us, this is all the money that's raised goes to the Regional Cancer Center, Windsor Essex Regional Cancer Center, stays right here to help out those of us in our families and friends who have had issues in their lives with cancer. And who of us in this room have not been touched by cancer? This is a really good cause. It helps out locally, and I'm hoping that all of us can get out there on Sunday, June the 9th, from noon till 9. Like I said, you don't have to be there all day, an hour, 2 hours. Come out, listen to some really good music, 9 excellent bands that have played in this area, local bands. We've actually got one band that all of the band members are cancer survivors. So it's a pretty cool thing to be at. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Councillor Guerin.
No announcements.
Councillor Verbeek.
No announcements now. I was just going to plug this great event on Sunday at the Coan Park.
Thank you. Councillor Bjorkman.
No, happy to be here, and thanks everyone for your support.
And it's great to have you back, Councillor. You're in good health, and we're all happy for you. Councillor Bondi.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My parents had a good time at Father's Day at the rec. No, I had I had to give my dad a Father's Day card for a new business in Colchester before he went out for himself and got it. So anyways, great new business that we have going on in Colchester. I do have a couple accolades I just want to give to administration. They are taking care of one of the contentious issues that I believe has come up in council and on our tour. The people that are parking in Harrow on Center Street on the north side by the Tim Hortons, there's some signage going up there so that our firefighters in the fire department will be able to get out there. So I just wanted to bring that to council's attention and to the residents' attention, and just to say thank you to administration. I've also received 3 complaints this year, and I know it's not a lot, but 3, about people cutting their grass and putting it on the road. And I do not believe we have a bylaw about it, but this has come up a few times on council. So I just want to make an announcement as a councillor saying, you know, if you're cutting your grass, it's motorcycle season, it's not good for our sewer systems, so please do not push your grass onto the road, keep it on your property. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Vanendon, anything?
Nothing this week, thanks.
Councillor Bowman.
Just a couple things, and since we've had the water issues over the last little while, I think we're into some good weather now, and starting this Wednesday, the Music in the Park starts up, so hopefully we'll have some good weather for that. Here in Essex this Wednesday, and I believe the following week out at Colchester. The one here in Essex, the farmers market is going to work in conjunction with it. So the farmers market goes from 5 to 9, and the music in the park goes from 7 to 9. So if you got nothing to do on your Wednesday nights, come on down here, and I think it's Monday nights in Colchester, and there's a few nights in McGregor, and I think there's working on something in Harrow as well. So anyway, it's a sign of the times that we have music festivals around on a walk-in basis, so let's give them a good plug and stay involved with them. Thank you.
I only have one thing. Tomorrow is our annual steak dinner I put on. It's a fundraiser for the Essex Colchester Family Fun Day in July, and the tickets are $200 a piece, and we've sold over 50 tickets already, so Looks like we're going to have more people there this year than last year. People are very, very, very generous. A lot of people jumped in this year to donate money, and I mean large amounts of money, like one donor, $10,000, $3,500 here, $4,000 here. You know, it's people see that it's going back into the community, and we're doing something for the residents out there. So, but I want to give a real special thank you to Doug, because Doug really worked hard, you know, to get the supplies and set everything up. You know, I did a lot of the fundraiser, but a lot of work is setting it up and putting everything together. So thank you very much, Doug, for everything you've done there. So anybody that didn't get a ticket and want to come out, please come out. It's a great event tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Item 17, bylaws. That bylaw 1807, being a bylaw to provide for the James Shepley Drain, be read a third time and finally passed this evening, June 3rd.
Mover, please, Councilor Bjorkman, seconder. Councilor Bowman, all in favor? Thank you.
1808, being a bylaw to provide for the 8th Concession West Drain, be read a third time and finally passed on June 3rd.
Mover, please, Councilor Bowman and Councilor Vanendel, all in favor? It's carried.
1823, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the May 21st regular council meeting, be read a third time this evening and finally passed on June 3rd.
Have a mover, please. Councilor Verbeek and Deputy Mayor Malash, all in favor? Thank you. It's carried.
Under bylaws for 3 readings, 1827, as added to the published agenda this evening, being a bylaw to appoint a bylaw and property enforcement, a property standards and bylaw enforcement officer for the town of Essex.
Could I have a mover, please? Councilor Bowman and Councilor Guerin, all in favor? It's carried.
And for 2 readings this evening, bylaw 1826, being the bylaw to confirm the proceedings of this June 3rd regular council meeting.
Mover, please, Councilor Bjorkman and Councilor Bowman, all in favor? And could I have a motion to adjourn, please? Councilor Vanendel and Councilor Verbeek, all in favor? And thank you very much, council, and thank you, administration, and the people who are here tonight. Thank you.